Good morning, everybody.
Hi.
You may be wondering why he has duct tape on his mouth. I have warned him to be calm, nice, and to watch what he says. Well, everybody wants to hear my...
Yes.
Be calm.
Yes. Well...
Because this is like, oy vey.
Well, that's the thing. When you see what we have, you're going to see how Watchtower is really playing into the childish mind of the elders.
Not only that, they're giving more jobs and responsibilities for the elders to take care of, and it's all about Watchtower protecting their backside.
Yeah, for Watchtower, friends, there is a clear and present danger. Not only are they losing court cases around the world because of the CSA, not only are they selling kingdom halls across this world, but the clear and present danger really becomes with the PMOs, because the PMOs get hurt in a kingdom hall. They really have no problem with suing Watchtower for negligence on Watchtower's part. And like a lot of things we see going on in this world right now, pieces of paperwork are being signed before you have anything put into your body, so that there's no legal recourse to those that are making you do things you really don't want to do. And Watchtower, in what they're doing here, is just a CYA, and they're doing it in, like I said, a childish manner.
Yeah, exactly. Now, thank you very much, Atlantis, for sending us this information. And I tried to find the court case, but there was 2 court cases that I knew about where a family was suing Watchtower for negligence, and because their mom had fallen at the convention on the stairs. And I couldn't find that case again, but there was also a couple of others that I had found about slip and falls at Kingdom Halls and everything else. And thank you very much, Atlantis, for sending this information, because we have a secretly leaked video about incidents at Kingdom Halls.
So let's play it.
From Ecclesiastes 9:11, we know time and unexpected events can overtake us all. That being the case, incidents can occur at our Kingdom Hall. While we hope this does not happen at your Kingdom Hall, how you handle an incident investigation and fill out the Risk Incident Report, or TO5, can ultimately protect others and prevent similar incidents in the future. Let us imagine a scene at a local Kingdom Hall, where an elderly sister falls while going downstairs. There are 2 sisters who see this and quickly call over a brother while offering assistance, and an ambulance is called by the elders. Our dear sister has fractured her wrist. Elders will provide necessary practical assistance and shepherding to the injured sister. This situation requires that a risk incident report is completed. Before completing a risk incident report, please review the Risk Incident Report Instructions, or TO5I.
Wow.
They're going to offer shepherding, a.k.a. you can't sue your brothers. That's what they're going to offer for shepherding, because there's really no way to shepherd this. The woman fell, she hurt her wrist, and oh, God, it's just mind-boggling how stupid this is being presented.
Yeah. Now, if anybody wants these incident instructions, I have those also. Thank you very much to our source. And when you look through this, it's only 1 page, but my goodness, the objective of the report, right at the top, is the primary objective of this report is to improve safety, not to establish guilt. Because, see, there's not going to be any mention of guilt, and I'll get into that a little bit later. Are we ready for the next clip?
You know how painful this is, right?
Yes.
Because
and we all appreciate it, don't we?
Because the level of stupidity is off the charts.
Well, actually, it's very serious because Watchtower is trying to cover their backsides, and they have to have this to instruct the elders, because in a little bit here we're going to talk about an incident that we knew happened and how the elders really screwed that up.
Yeah.
All right, so the next clip.
In the instructions, you will notice that before filling out the risk incident report, you will need to conduct an investigation of the incident. The first step is to determine if the incident is catastrophic. What is a catastrophic incident? Catastrophic risk incidents include fatality, head trauma, loss of limb, injury to an eye, or injury that has the potential to result in permanent disability. If the incident is catastrophic, do not complete the risk incident report. Instead, call the legal department as soon as possible and follow their direction.
Oy vey.
There again, it's an exercise in futility, Watchtower, because you talk about permanent disability and serious injury. What about the permanent disability that you caused because of your negligent Bible interpretation, because you're permanently making your members stupid, where they can't think on their own, they can't reason things? What about that disability that you've created?
Well, what about the fatalities they've caused with their blood, issues, their blood doctrine?
Exactly.
What about not protecting the children? What about those permanent, issues? And it's like, oh my goodness. See, but that's different. They want to protect themselves. You know, don't fill out the incident report until you call the legal department. Is this the same legal department that are a bunch of morons and dumbasses that have no certification to practice in all 50 states here in the United States? Are these the same dumbasses that told Pencava and these other elders that they don't have to report any, CSA allegations? You mean that legal department? And for these elders to rely on that legal department, it's like, oh my goodness. Elders are told to investigate this matter. So from some of the congregations we've been in, do you really think the elders are going to do a thorough job of investigating this when they have so much other stuff to do and they really don't care to investigate?
It just comes down to this. Their means, their ideology, their whole thing about investigating means sitting down with the poor sap that falls, the poor sister that slips, sitting down and says, if you bring reproach on Jehovah's name regarding this situation, we will disfellowship you. There's that mental disability I'm talking about, because they have no cognitive ability to reason and sort things out. It's whatever the damn dumbass governing body says, that's what we're going to do. Because after all, if these elders go on and do their own little thing, they'll get disfellowship too.
Well, we know the shepherding call to the person that falls, and is hurt, even if they're in the hospital. We've heard of many incidences where they won't go visit them. And it's not a loving shepherding call. No. It's like Mike says.
CYA.
Yeah, exactly.
CYA.
Yeah. And the next clip is going to be covering that a little bit more.
Since this example is not catastrophic, 2 elders are assigned to investigate the incident, and one of them will serve as a contact elder for the incident. Provide the Notice of Policy on Use of Personal Information, or TO5N, and interview the injured person. Although this is an investigation, when interviewing the injured person, do not give the impression that the injured person is to blame. Be sympathetic and listen carefully. Then, Gather information from any other eyewitnesses. Do not just stop at the incident itself. Many times you will need to trace back the series of events that led to the incident. What was the root cause that led to the incident? It may not be as simple as the sister losing her balance while being distracted. For example, were there proper handrails in place? Was there defects in the handrails or another possible defect? What kind of footwear was she wearing? Were the stairs in good condition? It would be helpful to consider what we can do to prevent recurrence.
Calm, breathe.
I'm dumbfounded at the level of stupidity that they're projecting here.
Yeah, and 2 elders assigned to investigate this. You mean the way they investigate allegations of the CSA, and we know where that goes. But in the previous clip, the second clip, you notice they said, reassure the sister that it's not her fault. But yet in this clip they said, ask her, was it her footwear? So you have to ask what kind of footwear they're wearing?
I'll bet nobody's going to catch that, Kim, because they're not paying that close enough detail, because you're being so dumbed down to. You're being talked down to like a 2-year-old. When will these people figure this out?
Well, look at how many conventions were we sitting up, in the nosebleed section, and sisters walking down the stairs, up and down the stairs, and mostly where we went in Tucson, it was metal stairs most of the time, or slick cement.
Or concrete.
Yeah, and they're wearing these high heel shoes. How many times did we see them slip, and some even would slide down quite a bit, and hurt. Some even had to have first aid come, and help them out. So I can understand that, but it's like, what does it matter what footwear she's wearing? Make sure stuff is,
the level of stupidity that's being presented here it's just off the charts. I mean, it's just common sense safety.
Yeah.
No, Watchtower's going to go make this big elaborate detail, but ultimately, friends, the subtle thing you want to pay attention to, well, what footwear was she wearing? That falls right in line when they talk about being blood guilty. If you're going out in service and you have bald tires on your car and you get into a wreck, you're responsible. Mark my words. In a situation like this, it's always going to go back to the person. It's their fault. And in this case, it's going to be, well, you've got less than perfect footwear, sister. It's your fault, so you can't sue Watchtower.
Or your shoes are too slick on the bottom.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, dress shoes, especially men's dress shoes,
goodness,
are very slick on the bottom.
Well, there again, they could almost double for bowling shoes, couldn't they?
Yeah. Now, that reminds me of an incident when you were first appointed a ministerial servant. And I know we've told this story, years and years ago, but it's a good time to bring this up again, because I happen to have found a picture of the backside of the Cottonwood Kingdom Hall where we were going at the time he was appointed a ministerial servant.
We have proof.
Yeah. Now, at this time, the picture I have, it looks like they have put up a fence. But at the time that he was first appointed a ministerial servant, you would open the back door. Now, this is the back of the Kingdom Hall that's facing the highway. And that's the photo I have here. But as you can see, when you would open the back door, there's this steep hill, this incline. There was nothing here when he was appointed a servant. So I'll let him continue with the story.
Well, there's just not much to say. When I was appointed a ministerial servant and I was made head of the attendance department, I took that responsibility with all seriousness. I really did. And part of that responsibility required me going back and reading everything that Watchtower had in print regarding the responsibilities of the attendant. And ultimately what Watchtower projects is with that responsibility is that I was the guy in charge of everybody's safety. I was the guy. Something went wrong, you blame me. Not some sister with a pair of bad shoes. You blame me. So having that seriousness in mind, I walked around the Kingdom Hall multiple times looking for safety concerns. Now, since I was already a manager of an equipment rental yard, I would have to put on once a week safety talks, safety
Lectures, seminars.
I forget the exact wording now, but it
Meetings.
was meetings, safety meetings once a week. So having that training in the industrial faction of my life, I took those words of wisdom and applied them to the Kingdom Hall. And one of the biggest, well, actually two, there was not enough fire extinguishers throughout that Kingdom Hall. And even if there was one or two, they were not properly identified. But the biggest thing was...
They didn't have a current date on them either.
Exactly. But the biggest thing is the way the Kingdom Hall was designed is that the mechanical room was at the back of the Kingdom Hall, where most everybody would walk into the Kingdom Hall and then you would turn and go into the auditorium. So if there were going to be a fire breaking out in that Kingdom Hall, more than likely it would come from the mechanical room. Well, if that mechanical room caught fire, your access to the main door would be cut off. So that means 120 people would have to filter themselves to the front of the Kingdom Hall, and there was an escape door on one side and an escape door on the other side. And as we will show, one of these escape doors, you open up, and within a matter of a few feet, you would be going down an embankment. Now, like most of us recognize, generally, it's the older ones that sit up at the front of the Kingdom Hall. And in a panic situation, the older ones are going to get pushed and shoved out the door, which meant they would have gone right down this embankment. So I brought that to the attention of the elders, and I pretty much forced the issue. And guess what? They put up a handrail.
And now, as you can see, it looks like, where that back door is, there's actually, a chain link fence.
Yeah, and if you look at it, that chain link fence doesn't extend across the entire length of the Kingdom Hall. It's pretty much at the door. And once again, knowing that Kingdom Hall, when you open that door, you're going to come out and make an immediate right turn. You're not going to turn left because you would be going into the direction of the mechanical room where more likely the fire's going to break out. So hey, Cottonwood, that was all me.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
So we have another story to tell when we were doing the first remodel on that Kingdom Hall. And I believe that was the 80s, mid-80s?
Yeah,
thereabouts?
something like that. Maybe
Something like that,
90s.
yeah. Now, a lot of the young brothers, they didn't want anything to do with this remodel, and so the roof had to be taken off. The old roofing had to be taken off. There was probably about 4 or 5 layers of old roofing, and so us sisters got up there, with nail pullers and hammers and stuff, and we were trying, to get the old roofing. And the attitude of the brothers was really bad, really bad. And there was a young brother, he would only show up right before lunch. Mike had a few stories about that guy too.
Yeah.
His last name was Cote, but he had this like pitchfork. Now the thing is when you're taking the roofing off, there's staples and nails, and you can tear up the sheeting underneath, the plywood underneath, because that's what we were doing. We were taking it right down to the plywood. So he comes with this pitchfork, and he's like just doing it like a snow shovel on the roof.
Well, not only that, he's also swinging it to try to get it underneath. And, you know, a lot of times when you're swinging a pitchfork, you kind of miss your target and you swing above it, and there might be a sister's rear end right there about getting ready to get poked.
Yeah, and, you know, so he's tearing up the plywood, and, you know, staples and nails are flying everywhere. And one of the sisters said, you know, just calm down, you know, don't do that. You're tearing up the sheeting. And he says, well, if you sisters would get out of my way, I could get this done.
That was the wrong statement to state.
I told him, you say anything like that again, and we're going to throw you off this roof.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because
And some of the other sisters said the same thing, saying, yeah,
Yeah.
you know, we're the ones that have been here for several days getting this roofing off. And then you come in right before lunch with the pitchfork, you know, and just basically causing more damage than anything.
And that's just the arrogance. That
was
just,
the attitude.
And a lot of times, Watchtower, it's that arrogant attitude that causes the problems.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And then the
well-
incident you were there for.
Well, actually, just reflecting back on that brother's attitude, during that remodel, we had to do some things with the well. And the way the well was made, the bottom of the well had concrete poured underneath as a base, and that concrete had to be busted up. Well, I was the guy that went down into the hole, and I was busting that concrete up with a chisel and hammer. And I had been going at it for possibly 2-3 days, because you're talking about a concrete slab about 4 inches thick.
Oh, heaven forbid they rent real equipment to do this job.
There again, being down in the hole, you really didn't have a lot of room to maneuver any type of equipment to do it, so it really had to be done by chisel and hammer. And after about 3 days, obviously my hands are swollen, they're blistered. Well, this same brother that told his sister, if you get off the roof, we get this done a lot quicker, decided to relieve me on day 3. And he goes down into the hole for about 2 hours with the chisel and hammer. And then he walks out of it, and that's S.O.B. Had the nerve to go, whew, boy, look at all the work I did. If you guys hadn't let me down in this, who knows how long it would have taken after I had been down there for 3 days. See, this is the arrogance that would make a guy like me turn around and punch that guy in the head and say, you got what you deserve. Now go mouth off to someone else who gives a damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but see, this is how accidents among Jehovah's Witnesses happen, because morons like that literally do not know how to check their egos at the front door. Now getting to the more serious issue. After the sisters had gotten done tearing the roof off, there was some obvious repairs that needed to be done.
The fascia had
And
to be
a
replaced.
lot of it involved tearing the fascia off and replacing it. Well, we had decided to do, step 1 was to tear off all the fascia. Well, while that had been done, again, there was a concrete mixer brought onto the site, one of those hand concrete mixers, just a drum with a 5 horsepower motor, maybe even 8 horsepower motor, because we were going to mix that concrete and pour it down into where the well was after we had done what we needed to do. Well, a brother, dear friend of ours, decided that he had to spit. And he walked to the edge with the fascia already having been removed. And down he went, because that fascia,
to the ground.
it actually was the supporting edge. And since that supporting edge was no longer there, the plywood buckled. And he went right down to the ground, missing the upward pointing handle by just about maybe a foot. And he actually fractured his ankle doing that. And even to when...
Maybe it was his footwear.
Maybe it was his footwear, yeah, exactly. But, the whole point being is that after that incident happened, the brothers investigated, yes, and yes, but they were very, very reluctant to allow this brother to use the insurance of the Kingdom Hall or even Watchtower to pay for his medical bills. And we left years later after this incident, and even up to that point, this brother had not had any help or recompense from Watchtower at all.
He was still fighting it
Yeah,
years later.
Yeah, so it is literally a CYA when it comes to Watchtower in this type of stuff. The only way for Jehovah's Witnesses to avoid having an incident report filled out is don't go to the Kingdom Hall, because you will be victimized once again by your ignorant body of elders and the ignorant Watchtower babble or the Watchtower dribble crap society.
Yeah.
They just don't get it when it comes to stuff like this. Watchtower is not your friend. They're not your brother. But hey, what's it gonna take?
Exactly.
What's it gonna take?
Exactly. Well, look at how many decades they didn't have any railings out that,
And nobody thought
Sure.
twice.
Yeah.
Nobody thought twice until I came along and I took my assignment seriously.
Yeah, and they were upset at
Oh yeah.
him because he cost them money.
Because I cost them money. I said, so what? So what?
So we have another clip here.
Remember, the primary objective of the report is to improve safety, not to establish fault. In the case of a serious injury, please prepare a diagram or photographs of the general location to show the arrangement of items at the time of the incident. Once you have a full understanding of what happened and what the root cause or causes of the incident were, you're ready to complete the risk incident report. Remember, according to the risk incident report instructions, this should be done within 72 hours of the incident.
Now, I'm not going to read this full page of the instructions, but I just wanted to read points 9 and 10 real quick. Because they're supposed to do all of this within 72 hours? Have you ever known the elders to get in and do anything in 72 hours?
Not unless it comes to disfellowshipping apostates. Then they want that
Oh,
done
yeah.
right away.
Yeah, that's
Even
right.
if they're going to be out of town.
The minute we missed our meeting, our judicial meeting, right then and there, after they knew we weren't going to show up, they immediately had a judicial hearing and disfellowshipped us. So that they did within 2 hours.
Guilt was established. Just like that sister's footwear, guilt will be established. Mark my words.
Yeah. Well, I just want to mention points 9 and 10 on this instructions. Witness statements. Witness statements should be taken in cases involving serious injuries. They never asked us about Brother Purdue's fall off the roof, did they?
Well, no, because I had my back turned, so I wasn't I wasn't a good witness. I just knew that he had to spit.
Yeah. Witness statements should be taken in cases involving serious injuries. Please ask any witnesses to the accident or any other individuals who may have helpful information to describe what happened. Have 2 responsible brothers present to document the comments and answer on a separate sheet and attach it to the incident report. Please do not discuss who or what may have been at fault or the cause of the accident or make reference to any legal action. So keep your mouth shut. Please ask the following questions. What were you doing when the accident occurred? Did you see the accident? According to your understanding, what happened? No one is obliged to answer these questions.
They don't trust the brotherhood anymore.
Number 10, legal action. Do not discuss fault or liability with anyone other than a risk management desk representative. If there is talk of legal action or if you receive a letter from an attorney, please contact the risk management desk immediately. If you receive a phone call from someone representing the injured person, do not discuss the matter with him. Note the caller's name, address, and phone number and explain that someone will be in contact with him. Then call the risk management desk immediately. The same steps should be taken if you are contacted by an insurance company. And of course, now here in the United States, it's the legal department.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, here again, they're all indications are they're getting ready to let a handful of Jehovah's Witnesses get back to the Kingdom Halls. The Kingdom Halls have been sitting for quite some time, so there are going to probably be some obvious remodeling that Watchtower is going to require so that they can now trick the Jehovah's Witnesses to sign over the legal documents that make the Kingdom Hall become property of Watchtower. You know, for those Kingdom Halls that still have not been stolen by Watchtower, they're gonna manipulate and maneuver this in that direction. You watch.
And I'm going to reiterate something that I have said many, many times. If any elders bring any papers to you, or documents, or power of attorney, or anything like that, do not sign them until you read them carefully, and if you do not fully understand what you are signing, take it to an attorney. It's worth the money to have them explain it to you. A lot of places, especially here in the United States, they will have free legal help. A lot of your senior citizens, if you're over 65, will have legal help for you. I know here in the state of New Mexico, there's a number so that the poor can get free legal help. Do not call Watchtower's legal department, because they do not have your interest, your best interest at heart. They are interested in covering their asses.
It's protecting the corporation, not Jehovah. Jehovah can protect himself, presumably,
Yeah.
right?
And we already know, we've covered this year in years past, and it's worth mentioning again, that what these elders will do is they will bring documents giving them power of attorney. They will take this to the elderly ones in the congregation, and they will have them sign it. And that gives the elders power of attorney over everything, including your bank account. So do not sign these. So I just can't stress that enough. And I know they treat you like kids, and they talk to you and the elders like your kids, but you're smarter than that. Don't sign anything, and don't let them, talk you into not suing if you are hurt. Take it from someone who was hurt on the job and, had to try to fight disability. Do not give up any of your rights. Don't let them try to talk you out of it, because they will lie. Been there, done that.
Yep.
So thank you, everybody, for watching, and we hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Bye.
Bye.